Hello and welcome to my latest weekly property news from Madison's. Well, probate. It's a big topic that I get involved in quite a lot. So probate is what happens when someone dies and their estate has to be disposed of to the beneficiaries. And it's the process that you go through to file your return with HMRC to confirm how much the estate was worth, have all those assets transferred into their new ownership and confirm the tax liability. When you've got joint survivorship, so a husband and wife, when one dies, it just passes to the other. It's very easy. But with probate, when that second person has died, or if they were never married to begin with, when they die, the estate needs to go to its estate, and you cannot buy a property until probate has been granted. So we often have this, properties go to market, someone has very sadly passed away, the family put the house on the market because often that is the means by which they're going to pay the inheritance tax bill if it is due, there's one due, and can't actually sell that property until it legally belongs to the new beneficiaries, and that is what is called when probate is granted. And probate is taking a long time at the moment. A recent report out from HM Courts and Tribunal Service, HMCTS, we call it in the trade, 70% of cases are taking in excess of 10 weeks, 57% in excess of 19 weeks. Now, why is that? It never used to be that long. What's going on? Well, they've had a new online system implemented, and it's had quite a lot of teething problems. And also it can't deal with very simple inquiries. The hope was that it would sort of sit as a buffer to the actual human individuals that run that department and be able to deal with a lot of basic inquiries. It can't, therefore they are being overloaded. And also staff shortages are quoted an awful lot as what the problem is going on with. So I've had some probate cases 6 months it's taken to get probate through, and it's really unfair actually. With inheritance tax, you have to file your return, you have to start to meet those liabilities long before probate is often granted. And when the house is the asset that is going to clear the probate bill, and you can't physically sell it because it's not in your name, feels very unfair really. There is a window, in fact, a 12-month window where you can look to reclaim losses on shares because of a fall in the market during that probate passing time, and there's calls to extend that. So there's hope that the new system is getting better. It's shown that it's really good with very simple cases. The minute you've got a more complex estate, it's not so good, but simple cases it's good, and they're hoping they're beefing up their staff to reduce those times. I think they are aware it's a big issue at the moment. My advice, I often get asked, when should I put my property on the market when I'm waiting for probate? I often say wait for it to be a good bit in the system, filed your return, get that letter back to say that it should be granted with a certain amount of time, and then look to list. Because generally buyers like a probate property, but what they like about it is the speed of the transaction and the fact that there is no onward chain. So they like the fact that there's certainty of when that deal will go through. Therefore, if probate has not been granted or you haven't even applied for it, that can make buyers a little bit nervous. So my advice, get into the deal a bit and then list your property. You don't need to wait for probate to be fully granted, in my opinion. They normally work themselves out. It takes 14 weeks on average to buy a property. So normally, even in the worst cases of probate, you're going to get that through before the legal work is done. So yeah, just some thoughts on probate there. Well, as agents, one thing that we are often criticised on is double fees. So where you pay 2 agents effectively for the same transaction. That is really annoying. At Madison's, we don't do dual agency instructions. We don't think they're right for our sellers. They create a very much first past the post mentality. An agent's just desperate to get a deal done. Doesn't really act in the best interest of their client. I feel, that's my opinion, obviously, others are out there. And equally for the seller, 2 fees. It's expensive when you go into dual agency and can make your property look a little bit desperate on the market. But if you do, in this market, quite often what happens, it's a trickier market, slower market. People are used to the highs of the pandemic. They've forgotten what it's like to sell a property in a normal market. It takes a bit longer. So they switch agents. And what you really need to do is be really clear as to who introduced which buyers. So we always insist on a list of all the introduced buyers from the previous agent and make it very clear that if any of those come forward and buy the property within a certain amount of time, then that other agent will get paid. That's the right thing to do. So be transparent, make sure it's all set out very clear in your terms of business, all very clear who will get what, because to pay dual fees is horrible and shouldn't really happen, to be honest. So yeah, check your terms of business. Well, wasn't it a lovely weekend last weekend? Lots going on at the Pantiles, food fairs, food markets, coming into Halloween season, so lots going on with that. Do come down to the Pantiles, our amazing food fairs, antique fairs, craft fairs, they're fabulous. And a lovely property that I have launched here in the town centre, Beulah Road. It's proving popular. It's a really fabulous 3-bedroomed house, beautifully presented, lovely kitchen, diner, off-road parking and a lovely west-facing garden. Beulah Road's a great location, just off Camden Road, got a real edge and a vibe to it, and I love it. I hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.